Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. As we're approaching a new year, I thought that I would share my favourite books from last year with you guys. This is literally only half of the books that I'm going to talk to you about today, but I read a little bit of everything. I am a little bookworm, so there is something for everyone here, whether you like self-improvement, stories, thriller, whatever it is. I guarantee you there's a book here for you. I had to take a seat so I could get into it. I'm going to start off with all of my non-fiction books. These are majority self-improvement. I really enjoy reading these books because I feel like there's things that you can there's a lot of things you can really take from these books, and a lot of things that you can apply to your life, and they're just a reminder that whenever you're feeling some type of way, someone has felt that before. Whenever you're feeling some kind of way, someone's been there, done that, and come out of it like better, and they're sharing that with you, which I absolutely love. These are not in any like particular order, they're literally just the books that I picked up that I've read this year. So this was first one, Healing is the New High by Vex King. If you know me, you know I love Good Vibes, Good Life by him. So when I was going through it, I thought, let me get this book. I've had it for a few years actually. First time I read it, I don't feel like I was open to healing from anything, so it literally just went but this time round, reading it works like a charm. I honestly, when people say there is a season in your life for certain books, they really mean it, because like I said, I got it years ago and it just was just like, okay, cool, good read. But yeah, this year it actually hit, and like doing all the like exercises in it really hit. The thing I would say about this is there is quite a lot of spiritual stuff, in the sense where someone reading it from a religious perspective would be like, oh, like that's a bit of a clash. But I think it's just up to you to take what you want to take from it, or whatever practices you want to take from it, and obviously to do your research if it aligns with your religion and what you believe and stuff like that. So I think that's an important thing to remember, especially when reading books like this. Like, as much as you can work on yourself and do all of this, at the end of the day it's God's plan. So whatever big man decides to do, he's gonna do, but this is just me playing my part in the things that I think he's got in store for me. So yeah, Healing is the New High was a very good read. The Inner Fix, who's this one by? Persia Lawson and Joanne Bradford. This book actually got me out of my reading rut. At the start of the year I couldn't really get into any books. Then I picked up this one and everything just worked, and I was like, okay, I got into it, I was really enjoying it, and I was like, okay, I do still know how to read, like, crisis averted. But I really liked this because they are very personal in it. They talk about like their lives, the stories, things that they've been through, and then apply it to the theories that they're talking about, which I really like. One second, guys. Who else is it going to be? Blowing up my phone.
What?
Angel.
That's actually very rude of you.
No, it's not. Who else is blowing up my phone? Do I have a husband?
I am your husband.
There we
Sure,
go.
man.
Anyways, back to what I was saying. That I liked the Inner Fix because it was, like I said, very personal. So when they're talking about certain things, well, certain ways to handle situations, they've been there, done that. It's not just some random guy talking about it who's sitting all comfy in the middle of nowhere. The next book on my list is High Performance. This is by Jake Humphrey and Professor Damien Hughes. They actually have a podcast called High Performance, and I'd watched a couple of episodes with my favourite people on there, like celebrities that I knew, and I really liked it. And I'd actually got this book from someone else. I think she gave it a read, wasn't really vibing with it, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance, and it was actually really good. Like I said, it's one of those where they're putting up personal lives in it, and they've got stories from a range of different people, like sports people, politicians, actresses, influencers, everything, bit of everything. So yeah, that was a really good one. one is this, Confident and Killing It. I've got this in here because there's an exercise that I want to do when I have time in there. I love this book because it literally feels like you're speaking to your girl. It literally feels like she's like on FaceTime to you and talking to you, asking you these questions, explaining why, you know, you should handle something like this, or maybe you shouldn't crash out, or maybe you shouldn't, you know. I'm joking. But yeah, I really loved this, and I think this was the last self-improvement book I read this year, and yeah, I loved it. It was a 10 out of 10. I actually got this from the author at an event. I didn't even know she was the author, and I was like, that looks like a book I would read. And she was like, well, you can have it, written by yours truly. And I was like, what? I did put that in a vlog, I'm pretty sure, earlier on in the year. But yeah, it was a really good read. Thank you, Tiwa, for my book. And she wrote a message in it as well, which is super cute. I love that. So yeah, that was a really good all of my non-fiction books. If, like, I don't think I'll probably these two I'll put on Vinted. Sorry about that. We'll probably put these two on Vinted, but the other two I want to keep for myself. So yeah, if anyone wants them, let me know. Just post them to you, and you know, spread all the knowledge. Now I've got all of my fiction books. Sometimes, you know, I do like to turn off my brain and just imagine I'm in a whole other world. So I do read I try to have a non-fiction and fiction on the go at the same time, just so I'm not always like reading something that's like, you know, motivating me. This is Monsieur Montespan. Is my French accent good? I need a French speaker to tell me if my French accent was good. I think it was good. Monsieur Montespan. Hey Siri, how do you say Monsieur Montespan?
I can't translate into Muatasan.
Okay, don't worry, forget about it.
Monsieur Montespan. A novel is a short story. You know what the novel? Monsieur Montespan.
Monsieur Montespan.
Monsieur Montespan. Okay, cool. That wasn't too far off anyway. But this is, as you can guess, it's based in France. It's actually a true story about one of, it's King Louis the, I don't know what that number is. I think King Louis the 8th. I can't tell what that number is, but it's in Roman numerals. But anyways, it's about one of his mistresses who actually had a husband and kids at home, and her husband got very broke, and she was somehow she caught the king's attention, and he was like, I can give you everything you want, but you need to leave him. And she was like, oh no, but I love him. She ended up leaving him. I'm not gonna ruin it, but if any of you are gonna read it, I'm not gonna ruin it, but it was very good. It was a very good read. I do like period dramas, period books, anything, so for me it was a good read. But if you're not into all of that kind of, if you're not into that vibe, then the next one is Magnolia Parks. This was like all over TikTok at one point, but Tan got me onto it after reading the first one. I think there's 5. I can't lie to you, they just get bigger and bigger as you go, and I don't think number 4 is literally like that thick. I mean, I love to read, but oh, I love it so much. I tell you guys, my phone's always ringing. You don't want to believe me. That's why it's on D&D all the time, if anyone wants to come for me. Next book is, I don't know if I finished about Maggie, but it's just about love. It's just fun, and like, it feels like a feel-good drama in a book, which I really like. And it's based in London, so everything she's talking about, I'm literally like, you can picture it. I love that. This book had me locked in. I took it with me to Zim, and I was honestly, it took, I think, maybe 2 chapters to get into it, but they don't waste time. They have you hooked from the start. Yeah, it was too good. It's a thriller, which I don't normally read, but it was very good. You should definitely get this, and it's not that long at all. So this book is called House of Stone. I actually saw this on an influencer that I follow. She's from Zim, she's a journalist, and she posted it. She read it while she was in Zim as well, and she just said it was really it really touched her heart, and she learnt so much about her history from one book. And I think as soon as I'd seen that, I was like, okay, I want to give that a read. So I ordered it, and it is I have never cried this much from reading a book. It sounds very crazy, but the way that this author writes, guys, like, you can picture everything. You can see every little detail in your brain as you're reading, and I think it touched me a little bit more because it's about my heritage and, you know, what my people sort of went through. So yeah, that hit a lot harder than I thought it would. People from Zim, I guess, or Southern African region, it is a really good book to read, but it made me do so much research on the history of, you know, my people, the different tribes that we have in Zim and things like that. So I do feel like if you are from, like, wherever you're from, try to, like, learn more about it. You'll never feel worse for it. I got clued up on a lot of things that I didn't know about, and I'm lucky that I had the chance to go and, you know, relay all of these things to my grandparents when I saw them, and they were pretty much very open about how everything went down, and the book literally reinforces exactly what they were saying. So it was a very emotional book, a very emotional read. Not me getting emotional, but I would definitely recommend it. It gives you a lot of insight into why things are the way they are. Now, my final two books are focused on the big man upstairs. I couldn't, while I do my Bible study, I do rotate between, like, sometimes watching a sermon or listening to a podcast or just reading a book alongside my Bible, obviously. And these two were my books of the year. This one, Is It Just Me by Grace Valentine. I'd got gifted when I'd sort of, I would say I've always been a Christian. Little bit of backstory, guys. I've always been a Christian, but I don't think I was practicing very well. Like, I don't think you would, like, I was God's, you know, strongest soldier. So as I started my journey into sort of becoming a practicing Christian, a friend got me this book, and I can't lie to you, absolutely loved it. I feel like one of the hardest things about giving your life to Christ is all the questions that you have. And sometimes when I had questions, sometimes I'd be scared to ask them, because it's like, do you actually believe in God because you're asking that? Or some people be like, I genuinely don't know, I don't have the answer for that. And then I don't want to go to someone who's more, you know, above and just asking like crazy silly questions. But I cannot lie to you, Grace touched on all the little things that I sort of ask myself, even ask God in like prayers or like while I'm just chit-chatting away. So I think it was really good. It was very relatable. Obviously she was, like, when she wrote this, she was a young girl as well, going through similar things. So that was very relatable for me, and it was very good and like a reflective book. So I feel like if anyone is starting their journey with Christ, this is a very good book. I also posted it on my Instagram, and she replied. She was super sweet. She sent a voice note. She was like, can we do a little prayer? And I was like, what? Yes, of course. But yeah, she's big time now. But when she'd written this, she was literally just starting her journey with Christ, and she was just like, surely I'm not the only one feeling like this. And let me tell you, you were not. And then my last book, but certainly not least, The Purpose Driven Life. I had actually picked this up on a whim, and I was like, yeah, you know, I'll give it a read at some point. And then one day, I think I'd finished a book, and I was literally just looking at my books. I was thinking, what am I going to read next? And this book literally just, something pulled me towards it, and I was like, okay, cool, let me give it a read. I got probably 2 days in, and I just drifted away. And then when things started not going my own way, this is very bad, but let me cook. When things weren't going my own way, I was thinking, why? Like, what is going on? And then I'd had a conversation with a friend of mine, and she was just saying, like, things are not going Nommy's way because God has, like, a bigger purpose for you, and you're not gonna see it, but he does. Like, all these little things that he's doing are making you this person that he has, like, envisioned you to be. Like, she basically explained how you have a purpose and God knows why he put you here. So, like, stop stressing about all these little things that are not going your way, because there's actually a bigger picture to it. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess you're right, you know, yeah, God's plan, you know, whatever. I wasn't really in the mood to hear anything at that point. And then the next time I was doing my Bible study, I genuinely, hand on heart, I literally just broke down. I was singing my favourite song, and like, I literally just broke down, and I was like, why are you, like, why is this happening? Like, things were just so amazing. I'm pretty sure at the start of the year, like, things were just going great, and then in the middle of the year, everything was just, like, very discombobulated in my head. And I was just like, big man, like, why are you doing this to me? And I was just like, you know what, let me just pick up that book and actually give it a good read this time. When I tell you, it is a work of art. There's no other way to explain it. I haven't read a book that has checked me like that has spoken to me like that, and that has given me clarity like that. There is a lot of things that I'm very confused about in this life, don't get me wrong, but I think the one thing that it teaches you is what you're here for. It's not gonna open, like, you're not gonna open it and it's gonna be like, yeah, look, like, Tanya, you're here to go and spread the word, you're here to open a church. It's not gonna say that, but it shows you that you're here for a reason, and it gives you ways in which God expects you to get closer to him to discover that reason, if you get what I mean. There's a lot of things that I was reading and I was thinking, this should be so self-explanatory, so known, but it's really not. And I think there was a lot of things in there that day to day you just forget or you dismiss. And that book, that's why I said it checked me. It checked me. I always say, who's gonna check me? This book did. Seriously. So I think this was a very, very, very good read. And to anyone who's thinking about reading it, just get it. Just get it. I wouldn't do a me and wait until you're literally, like, in the pits to get it out and read it. Even when you're at the happiest point of your life, or you're the most content, that would probably be an even better place to read it. Because when you do hit, like, a really horrible, like, dark time, all of this is already in your heart and in your brain. Whereas I had to hit that to that's what forced me to pick up this book, read it and take it seriously. I would just say, purchase it and just read it straight away. Don't even, it has, like, it's literally in days, it's split up for you, so it's not too intense, nothing too crazy. But yeah, whether you're very content or whatever the case may be, just read it. And I promise you now, you'll learn so much. Like, you'll take so much from it. This one book, I honestly, hands down, can say that I've taken so much more from this than I have from probably all the self-improvement books combined. No exaggeration. Anywho, those were all the books that I read in 2024. This year we're going to try and read more. We're going to try and like spice it up a little bit. I want to take a few more book recommendations from people because I always just go off my own vibe, and majority of my books do have the same vibe, I can't lie. So I'm going to take more recommendations. I'm going to, just like I did with House of Stone, just go off on a whim and order it if I'm like, oh, sounds interesting, and actually give it a go. I do want to read more books about my faith and just learning like more about, you know, God and Jesus. So I will definitely have more than 2 next year. And if you have any book recommendations for me, feel free to pass them on. You can message me or put them in the comment section. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a lovely 2025, and I'll see you guys very soon.